Mama's in the living room watching Judge Judy. I'm in the kitchen eating leftover sushi, and she yells, "Oh, girl, you gotta hear this one." A man was arrested for running the theme park, and when they said, "Where's your license?" he said, "My dog ate it." Oh, you can't make this shit up. Sometimes I wonder if life's just one big cosmic joke. It's like she's on a Reddit, reading r/funny lawsuits, yelling from the couch. As she sips on a Prosecco, makes fun of all the weirdos, and then I hear a shout. Shout. It's like she's on a Reddit, reading r/funny lawsuits, yelling from the couch. As she sips on her Prosecco, makes fun of all the weirdos, and then I hear her shout, "Girl, you gotta hear this one." Mama loves to laugh at how absurd life is, says it's all a comedy and I'm her audience. And I love the way she makes fun of the world. She said, "You'll never guess what's with their girlfriend. It was a man who didn't get us out of the bed. He said, I've been through hell and now I need some help. You just can't make this shit up. You just can't make this shit up." Sometimes I wonder if life's just one big cosmic joke. It's like she's on a Reddit, reading r/funny lawsuits, yelling from the couch. As she sips on a Prosecco, makes fun of all the weirdos, and then I hear her shout. Shout. It's like she's on a Reddit, reading r/funny lawsuits, yelling from the couch. As she sips on a Prosecco, makes fun of all the weirdos, and then I hear her shout, "Girl, you gotta hear this one."
Hey everybody, it's Squid. Welcome back to the channel. Happy Friday. With me today is Spawn, talking all things NTSB Preliminary Report. Trying not to fall down a rabbit hole. Trying. That's the goal. How are you, Spawn?
Oh, sorry, you're talking to me?
I'm talking to you.
Oh, right, okay. I am in a very interesting mood today. So,
Yes.
people, just to give everyone a bit of fucking friendly advice, consider yourself warned.
Today is not the day. I feel the same way. I'm in a zone today where I'm like, remember you would not do well in prison. Remember you would not do well in prison.
I saw that. And you know what? Fucking commissary queen. That got me. I nearly spat my coffee out when I heard that in there.
I don't have that. I sent him a video this morning. I posted it to one of the Facebook groups. I think I posted it to the Otter Creek group. Like I don't have the attention span to be to spend 20 years to life as commissary queen.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, that was extreme. That was extremely funny. And just for the record, last night was a fantastic stream. In fact, watching it and ignoring the buffoonery, I actually learned a little bit about, American law, which is good because the thing is, the more you learn, the more you understand where people actually use their asses instead of their mouths. And like to see a judge and it's been very educational, very educational.
And for those of you who didn't see my stream yesterday, I've been covering Hannah Dugan all week and the motions in limine. And the Milwaukee County Courthouse has some personnel and personality issues, to say the least.
Yeah.
So if you haven't checked out those streams, I started on Monday with the US's motion in limine. Wednesday we talked about hers, and yesterday we talked about both sides' responses to each other. It was very enlightening about how entitled certain people think they are, mainly judges. But
I mean, I just find it so hypocritical that, you've got on one side of the coin, you've got these individuals, or I'm just going to say the individuals who say you need to follow the law, you need to do this, you need to do that, and they go off and on one And then on the other side, you've got people going, you need to do as I say and not as I do. And then you put both sides into one room, and it's like, don't do as I say, do as I do. And it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. It's like, if
Nope.
you've got people who you are supposed to look up to ensure fair and unbiased treatment and action, and then this happens, it's like, well, hang on a minute, I may as well be a judge. Can you
I
imagine
know.
me as a judge? They call me Judge Dredd within 10
Lord.
seconds.
Good Lord. Well, there's a certain thing, like people were joking yesterday that like some of us could take the bar tomorrow and probably pass. I do not think that I would pass the bar tomorrow. However, it does make you question people who did pass the bar. How? Like,
I would pass it.
Well, like I said, if I studied for a while, I probably could pass it. However, if I took it tomorrow, I would not pass.
Oh, of course not. No, but I would
Yeah.
pass it because I'd just go into a store and buy a box of Kellogg's cornflakes.
Well, that being said, it makes you look at when I cover all of these cases and stuff, and you look at the judge and you look at the lawyers and you look at like how they act, it makes you, when you need a lawyer of your own, to know what questions to ask, to have a better insight of what you're looking for in a lawyer so that you don't end up with lawyers like this.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot of lawyers and judges out there who are complete Contosaurus rexes and deserve to have short arms. I'm
Hey,
sorry.
hey, you stole my word. Anyway, before we get into this NTSB report that dropped yesterday,
God, yeah.
On the members only that was scheduled for today will be moved to tomorrow because I only have the attention span and the time for one live stream a day. I tried the two things back in a time before.
Last month.
I tried it more regularly a couple, like 6 months ago, and like I only have the attention span for one, and now that I have two channels, it's a very trying to do a second one is never going to be a good idea. So we'll move it to tomorrow. But I want to thank Hung Hero for starting us off with 20 gifted Squid Pro Quo memberships. I appreciate you guys so much. And I am working on a new video for the other channel that will be up next Wednesday. We have a live stream on that other channel on Sunday. If y'all don't follow me over there, please do. Please do. Hey everyone, we are running. We're trying to meet. We're trying to hit a goal of not going down rabbit holes. So if I ignore chat today, we
Okay, can I just stop you?
Yes.
When is it when we ever cover anything like this that we do not go down a rabbit hole?
Well, we are rabbit hole skimming. We are just dipping our toes in a rabbit hole.
Skimming today, are we?
We are not grabbing scuba gear and.
So it's not going to go. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
There is no swimming, holding your breath, all of that stuff. But hi, everybody in chat. I see you. Just know I see you.
I mean, we could do it two ways. Make it the quickest live stream about an NTSB report, or we can. Yeah. I'm putting my skates on.
Yeah, no complete diving today. Yes. And the bar exam consists of 3 parts with several essays. Yeah, like I said, I wouldn't be able to pass it tomorrow, but it does make you wonder when you talk to someone who supposedly did pass it. How? It just makes you look at people in a completely different, because when you think lawyer, you think intelligent. And I've seen a bunch of lawyers and read a bunch of lawyers' writings that I'm looking at like.
I'm going to say this.
The mental gymnastics.
Yeah, and I'm going to say this for anyone who's around the age of 30, 40. Let me just point something out to you. Pardon the expression, when Nobstacle took his freaking bar license test, okay?
Can you wait till I'm not taking a drink?
I'm sorry. Right? When Nobstacle took his, don't forget he took his in the early 90s, where the progression of emplacements of laws and subsections, sub-laws, and everything else, all right, has the evolution of all this, right? You're looking at 20 plus years. So in 20 plus years, or 25 or 30 years, the law has changed. So therefore, it's going to get harder and harder. And, you know, but obviously some judicial bodies obviously don't learn when lawyers are making mistakes and judges are making mistakes or abusing their powers or abusing their position. They don't update that, but they'll put you through a freaking cross-examination when you're doing your bar exam. You know, so.
Well, and we're going to get into this because we are just going to get into this. I am not going to describe what happened in the crash before we get into it, because the first part of the preliminary report always describes what actually happened. So I'm going to let the NTSB do it instead of trying to sum it up in my own words. So let's get into this. Look, I'm prepared. Like, it almost looks like I know what I'm doing.
Who's reading first, you or me?
I can read first. All right, so the typical location, Louisville, Kentucky. Notice pronunciation, Kentuckians, I know how to pronounce it correctly. November 4th, 1714 local time, a McDonnell Douglas MD-11F, and flight conducted under Part 121, air carrier, non-scheduled. We don't need the accident number or the tail number of the plane. You'll hear that tail number all the time. If you hear tail number, it's the registration number. It's generally the number printed on the tail of an aircraft that identifies it from another MD-11F by UPS. And injuries, 14 fatal, 2 serious, and 21 minor. Only 3 were actually in the aircraft. All 3 of the pilots were fatal. The rest of the injuries were people on the ground. All right,
just
November
for the record,
4th.
Before you carry on, just for the record, injuries with the 14 fatalities, 2 serious, 21 minor, that does not include people who witnessed it and who may have psychological issues due to witnessing it or being close to that situation. So that can now also add to the casualties list as well.
True. And I know that a couple of the injuries, maybe of the fatality, was a child. So that child's parents. So that child was going to the recycling center. From the information I've been able to read, was going to the recycling center with their grandfather, which puts it in perspective because I used to go to the recycling center by the airport in Milwaukee with my grandfather when I was a child. So it kind of, makes you think. So as always, when we read through these, we are reading through these with the understanding that there are fatalities. There are injuries. There are people significantly affected by this, not only from an actual physical injury, but also a potential mental injury and psychological injury based on what they saw. So we do keep in mind that we are reading this, and we might crack a joke or two to keep things lighthearted, but at the end of the day, we are respectful that people did pass away. All right, November 4th, about 1714 Eastern Standard Time, United Parcel Service, Flight 2976, a Boeing McDonnell Douglas MD-11F airplane, was destroyed after it impacted the ground shortly after takeoff from runway 17R at Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport. SDF is the airport code, Louisville, Kentucky. 3 crew members aboard the plane and 11 people on the ground were fatally injured. There were 23 others on the ground who were injured. 2976 was a domestic cargo flight operating under the provisions of Title 14, Part 121 from SDF to Honolulu, Hawaii. In response to the accident, the NTSB traveled to SDF on November 5th and started the process of documenting the accident site and collecting the perishable data necessary for the investigation. As part of the investigative process, the NTSB invited qualified parties to participate in the investigation, including the FAA, UPS, Boeing, Independent Pilots Association, GE Aerospace, and Teamsters Airline Division. The parties were formed into specialized investigative groups led by NTSB Group Chairman in the areas of structures, which is his area of expertise, systems, power plants, maintenance, air carrier operations, human performance, hazardous materials, aircraft performance materials, cockpit voice recorder, CVR, and flight data recorder, FDR. An NTSB air traffic control specialist was on site to collect ATC information, but an ATC group was not formed. The NTSB board member Inman was the board member on scene. Board member Inman, if you recall from way back in the day, like July, he was, I believe it's a he was on the panel asking questions in the DC aircraft collision board and all of that fun stuff. So we are familiar with Inman. Would you like to take over the history of the flight, Spawn?
Yeah, sure. And I've just noticed something with the upcoming pictures as well. Okay, UPS flight 2976 receives their takeoff clearance from STF ATC tower about 1711, and the flight crew not acknowledged the takeoff clearance. The taxi and takeoff roll were uneventful until the airplane rotated for takeoff. Airport surveillance video of the airplane showed the left number 1 engine and pylon separating from the wing shortly after airplane rotation, with the fire igniting on the left engine while it traversed above the fuselage and impacted the ground. Yeah, that one. See figure 1. A fire ignited near the area of the left pylon attached to the wing, which has continued until ground impact. Now, if you scroll up, and I'll go through the pictures. If you have a look at picture 1, obviously that's rotation. That's V2, rotate. And obviously 2, don't forget, these screenshots are being taken from a video. So we're looking at milliseconds. We're looking at seconds.
Yeah, I'm going to zoom in on this too.
Yeah.
So.
Right. What I want you to do, though, I want you to keep an eye on the aeroplane's angle. Okay, so if you have a look at the cockpit, the black line on the cockpit, you'll note that will help you to see the horizon and also the twist in the aircraft. In picture 3, you'll notice that the engine is now totally disconnected from the wing, and is obviously that engine is still it's still processing power, so therefore it's going to go all over the shop. It is going over the engine, over the fuselage. The wing is on fire in 4. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to look at the pictures 3, 4, and 5 very quickly. And what you'll notice is that there's a commencement of slight left-hand turn. So therefore, the right engine is now pushing the plane over. Okay,
you can notice it if you look at the landing gear too.
Yeah, and what's happening, because there's so much power coming from the right, it's sort of like forcing the plane over, which makes no sense, because usually it would push it down, but it's not. It's pushing it up. And as you can also see, is that we're looking probably 2 to 3 seconds into takeoff, where the plane is already at probably a 5-degree angle, bank angle to the left. And then also in picture 6, at the end of the day, there is fire, because there's obviously fuel and everything else coming out. The plane is now at probably between a 5 and an 8-9 degree turn angle, and you can see that the left wing is lower than the right, so it is starting to twist. And obviously, if you've seen the video online, you'll notice that the aircraft, when it does crash, the left wing is the first thing that to hit the ground.
And just remember, as we stated, this plane was headed for Honolulu.
Yeah,
so think about the distance between Honolulu and Louisville, and how much fuel it takes to get there. So this was fueled to capacity.
Yeah, so it's fully fueled. Hence the
43,000 pounds, I believe. Do not quote me. I read that somewhere. Yeah, lots of JP4.
Anyway, figure 1, still images from the airport surveillance video showing the left engine and left oh God, I so want to say it right now. Left pilot line separated from the left wing, source UPS. The airline initially climbed but did not get higher than about 30 feet above ground level AGL. According to the radio altitude data from the FDR, Flight Data Recorder, base FAA provided ADSB data. The last data point showed 481 feet main sea level MSL and 100 feet AGL. The airplane cleared a blast fence beyond the end of the runway 17 Romeo, but the left main landing gear impacted the roof of the UPS supply chain solutions warehouse at the southern edge of the airport. See figures 2 and 3. The airplane then impacted a storage yard and 2 additional buildings, including a petroleum recycling facility, which didn't help the fire part.
Yeah,
Definitely
did not help.
No, that did not help. And was mostly consumed by fire. The wreckage area continued from the UPS warehouse to above about 3,000 feet southeast of it. See figure 4. The accident site debris was centered about 38 degrees north and 85 degrees west. And there you can see now in that picture, if you scroll down.
So I just want to get to Jeffrey's comment real quick, because you have to think about the way physics works. I haven't seen another airplane incident where an engine disconnected due to poor repairs, and they noted that the way they're designed, the engine would flip up over the front of the wing. But why? You got to remember that this is producing thrust backwards, so it's not going to go backwards. It's trying to propel a hundreds of thousands of pounds of metal forwards and keep it airborne. So you have to think of the amount of thrust that when it comes down, the engine is still running, even though the pylon broke. Hypothetically, we haven't gotten there yet, but say the pylon broke, the engine is still running. The engine is still powering thrust, thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds of thrust that way. It's still moving that way. Yeah. So if it's moving and it's on fire, it's going to go that way. Like physics.
Don't forget, don't forget, if you have something that's producing thrust or power, okay, anything that and it's got a forward momentum. When it's producing power, it's pushing out the back, and that's the thrust. Now, when that comes off,
hold on,
you have to remember there's an uncontrolled directional thrust. So that means once it disconnects from the wing, that engine can go anywhere. It can go up, down, sideways, and it'll tumble over itself, whatever, right? Because it's not attached to anything. When you take something that can produce thrust and you just put it on the ground and you just let it go, okay, it'll go all over the place. But if you attach it to something where you have control over the descent or ascent or the turn, okay, so you just imagine you take that like your car engine, right? If your car engine is producing thrust, it's making the wheels turn. Now, if your wheels suddenly pop or suddenly fall off, what's going to happen? The other wheels are going to give thrust, therefore you'll start losing control of your vehicle.
And front mount still connected, so thrust pivoted upwards. And we have a demonstration. Although this is a 717 and it has 2 aft mounted engines, so it does not have any wing mounted engines. It's 717. I don't have a 737. I don't have an MD-11. The closest I can get maybe is an MD-80. My mom has an MD-80. But say this is the pylon, because we're just freaking out here, or we're just, so say the front broke or the back broke, but the front didn't. You have a whole bunch of thrust. It's and you also have a bank angle because you're taking off. So you have this with all this thrust. It's got to go somewhere, and where it broke to could potentially have an impact on that. So
also you have sorry.
I'm assuming that name is Florida Flipper. If I'm wrong, please correct me. But Like I said,
And
all
then,
I have is a 717 and a CRJ right now, so this is going to have to do.
and also what you have to remember, when that thing broke off and flipped and went its own direction, right, that side of the aircraft loses thrust. So therefore, the other side is overpowering the left side. And that's why, so this is why when they suddenly have an engine failure on takeoff, right, you can still fly an aircraft with one engine. However, you have to control the thrust because it will be pushing you over, right? It's
Sorry.
I'm no pilot, but even I know if I lose thrust on one side, I will excuse me, I will have to compensate to keep the aircraft level.
And going through some of the videos that I've seen of, because you watch a lot of YouTube videos of like the footage and everybody plays a different angle. And if you look at the comment section, the amount of people who must not have passed a physics class or have any idea how sensitive engines are to forward object debris, also known as FOD, is amazing, because people are like, well, I see sparks going through the tail mounted engine too. Like, what's going on? What there's got to be some conspiracy. Well, look at that. Look at these pictures, and could you look at these pictures and then be like, oh, expect the tail mounted engine not to be harmed in any way? Like, with the amount of fuel, fire, metal that's flying around, damaged other things, including that second engine. Engine 2 is in the tail. So, but like going through the amount of comments is like, okay, now I realize that, like, even though I'm not an expert, how many people don't have any knowledge at all, but think they do.
And also, you have to. Here's one thing that, like, we haven't got into the report. If you watch some of the videos, there was one video where you go, "Oh God, oh shit!" and he's like in their vehicle and they're watching the aircraft take off from behind, and you can't see the engine actually detach. You can't see it. All you do is see smoke, and then suddenly you see flame, but you do not see the engine. Right, so people were saying, "Oh, it's a catastrophic engine failure." Engine caught fire, right? But I'm glad that they actually brought out in this report. They brought out that they actually showed the video from this video that we're looking at stills with, because a friend of mine even said, I wasn't even aware that the engine that richly had a catastrophic failure and ripped off. And I went, dude, it was a DC-10. And he went, what? I said it was a DC, no, not a DC-10.
MD-11.
MD-11. And he went, didn't we go to Iraq on one of them? And I went, no, we came back on one of them. Yeah. So, so it just proves that just because you got 3 engines, you lose one, right? They probably had no time whatsoever, if that, to react, because of the amount of fuel, the weight, and everything else. Because that happened right at the V2.
And remember, like, if you have packages that may be delayed this Christmas, have some sympathy and empathy for the reason as to why. Yes, UPS does use other planes besides this. However, Amazon has a contract with UPS. So when you are expecting your Amazon packages and they are not delayed, or they are supposed to be delivered in 2 days and they are not, have some empathy for the reasons that they are trying to keep their pilots, their air crews safe, as well as the public, because even though these are not passenger aircraft, DC-10s have been grounded too. This was the UPS's US hub, basically, for all intensive purposes. So have some.
I'm just
stop being entitled. Let's put that way.
And just saying, that picture there, I've just had a look. There's a little tractor on the right hand side, just above there. That is probably the luckiest person going.
Yeah, I've driven past Or I've driven one of those before.
There's a car
So,
right. You see where the sun is, right in the middle of the fuselage.
yeah.
Yeah, if you look right down, there's actually a car just driving.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like there's a car going to the right.
Yeah.
Say what a mess. Anyway, so where was I? Oh yeah, west there. Right, figure 2. The fire in the area of the left pylon attachment to the wing continued as the plane cleared the blast fence. And
And the
basically,
blast fence would be this, in case
yeah,
anybody. It's a jet. It's basically the jet blast. It's how far you have to be away from an aircraft that is on high powered to be safe. Oh yeah, Candy, you're in Louisville.
funny. I'm not being funny, and I mean no disrespect to anyone who lost their lives or anything. But I'm glad that plane went that direction, because by the looks of it, it was largely industrial area.
The other direction might be different.
Yeah, looking at that picture, I'm sorry to say this, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but looking at that picture, it was mostly industrial, and unfortunately, people lost their lives, both on the plane and off the plane.
But it could have been worse.
It could have been way, way worse. Yeah. So my condolences and thoughts go to all the families who lost their loved ones. But anyway, figure 3, graphic depicting the flight track of UPS flight 2976 based on ADA data. And as you can see, from 1, that's where they started, and up to 10 is where the last debris was found. Or
it was 61 seconds between
61 fucking seconds. That's
17:12:44 to 17:13:45. 61 seconds.
61 seconds, and so many lives lost, and so many lives changed for.
And we can only hope that those lives that were lost were quick, were impact, because I cannot imagine the alternative. Yeah, or the main airport. Yeah. I hate to say that, but I'm also sure the pilots knew that and were trying to save it, but knew that also. Yeah, there's a good chance they knew that they were doomed from the time they saw that first flame, which I can't imagine the mental process.
The similar thing happened to the Concorde, and they tried to avoid populated areas, but unfortunately but it wasn't a wing, an engine that came off. It was a puncture into the fuel system, and obviously they had a catastrophic burn, and that was it. But looking at the from impact of that UPS building all the way to where that could have been so much worse. It's unfortunate that people,
I mean, I don't have the Google Earth of the airport, so I don't know what is around the airport, but you can see like all these houses here. And I don't think they have, I mean, there are other runways, if you can see are up here. So, yeah, houses. Like, I mean, that's probably the best if this was going to happen. I know it's awful to talk about, but we have these difficult conversations on this channel because that's just what we do. Sensitively, of course, but
excuse me.
If we don't have difficult conversations, we're going to be living in a difficult world when reality hits us. So, and then here's.
Okay, and just if you hold that picture there, okay, mostly around, it's mostly industrial. It's mostly industrial.
Yeah, you can see
I'm looking at Google right now, and there are some, scrap metal, sheet metal. It's mostly industrial, loads of parks. There's a recycle. Yeah, it's mostly industrial area. Yeah.
Yeah, you can see where, I mean, let's be honest. You can see where the landing gear struck the top of the building. I can't imagine what it would have been like to been in that building and hearing that.
Yeah.
I've heard an accident before. I have physically heard a horizontal stabilizer going through a turning propeller. And that didn't sound pleasant. Nobody was injured that I'm aware of. But I heard that. I saw the aftermath. I had to actually fix the aftermath. But
Yeah.
I can't
The whole
imagine
area,
what it,
yeah, the whole area is industrial. So I think that anyone on the foot who were unalived in the incident, who were on the ground, were probably visiting different types of industrial places, like, you know, recycling places or truck parts
just-
and service,
or working,
or were working. Yeah.
just going about their daily lives like they had
Yeah.
probably months and years before. Same
Yeah.
day, same thing every day.
I think someone was actually working on a EMT vehicle or an ambulance at the time of the incident, and that's the Queen, that's the boss.
3,000 feet of debris field from start to finish. That's yeah. All right, figure 4, accident site composite view created from aerial imaging overlaid on a Google Earth image. The upper end of the yellow dashed bracket is the initial impact between the airplane landing gear and the UPS building roof.
Wait, what?
This right here, what looks like a scratch mark.
No, I thought you said that like the landing gear was found all the way at the end of the.
No, that's this right here was the landing gear going through the roof of the building.
I'm surprised it didn't I'm surprised that it didn't stop that plane in its tracks on that one. I mean, look how far it went in.
Yeah, but you also have to think of how big this building was how big this aircraft is. Like how long it is. It's it's a couple hundred feet long. It's not like it's not like a 737 or a 717. It's not my tiny, you have to think of how incredibly wide that aircraft is and long. Yeah, over a half mile of wreckage. It's I heard that the plane that was involved in the Buffalo air crash a few minutes before it crashed. It was a sound I will never forget. Yeah, I unfortunately can forget what that sound was because I didn't actually see it with my own eyes. I was in the hangar. I had just gotten off of work. I would have actually been on that aircraft, well, next to that aircraft, if my shift didn't end and I wasn't relieved on the flight deck. That would have been my aircraft. But I got done, went down to the shop, did whatever I needed to do, was walking through the hangar bay to go to my to go eat, and heard a screech, and later found out that screech was the vertical stabilizer of an S-3B Viking going through the propeller of my plane.
Oh, snap.
Oh yeah, it was ugly. It was ugly. It was ugly.
Yeah.
It's an interesting experience to be involved in anything like this. However, a witness in the SDF ATC tower reported that takeoff speed appeared normal for that type of aircraft. However, the climb rate was not normal, as the airplane did not climb above the tower's height of approximately 200 feet AGL above ground level. Another witness reported that the airplane stopped climbing and began to lose altitude before rolling slightly to the left. Crew experience. The captain, who is the pilot monitoring, held an airline transport pilot certificate with a type rating for the MD-11. The captain had accumulated about 8,613 total hours of flight experience, of which 4,918 hours were in the accident airplane make and model. The first officer, who was flying, held an airline transport pilot certificate with a type rating for the MD-11. The first officer had accumulated about 9,200 total hours of flight experience, of which 994 hours were in the accident airplane make and model. The
So
relief
they both had
officer,
enough. So they both
yeah,
had enough experience.
they both had enough. My guess is that the first officer was only a first officer based on his limited-ish flight time in this aircraft, but he had more total flight hours than the captain. So he had spent more time in the cockpit than the captain by about 600 hours. So he was more
But
experienced.
the captain's got over coming up to 5,000 hours. I mean,
Yes.
there's a
Hence-
big freaking difference.
Hence why for this aircraft, this was a first officer and not a captain. Because you can go from being a captain and you can work for the same airline and be a captain on one aircraft, but when you change aircraft, you go back to being a first officer because you're not rated for that aircraft quite yet.
Mm.
So it's the relief officer held an airline transport pilot certificate with a type rating for MD-11. The relief officer had accumulated about 15,250 total hours of flight experience. 8,775 hours were in the accident airplane make and model. So he was a very experienced pilot. 15,000 hours.
Sorry, there's one question that's bugging me right now. Considering that plane comes with 3 engines, right? You got the tail engine, which is at the top below the stabilizer. Then you got your right and left engine. Now, I'm a little bit, but we'll carry on reading. But I wanna dig into this one about the fact that, you know, with those 2 engines, they could have had they would have had enough thrust to get out to climb. But I think something else was. I think there was some sort of control damage for them to not be able to get that plane up.
The supposedly, and we still have to read it in here. Initial reports were that there was a compressor failure on engine 3. So whether that was caused by all of this, or that was a completely separate issue that happened to happen at the same time.
Fuel, flame, smoke, debris. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, and until we actually hear, and this is only 12 pages, I know that when this final report comes out, it's going to be hundreds of pages.
Like the last one we still need to do.
Yeah, which still isn't out yet. I checked.
Yeah.
I've recently, since this happened, ever since I was checking for this, I had been checking to see if any of the final reports were out for any other things that we've covered. The only one that I cannot find because of is the Canadian, the Delta CRJ that flipped over in Toronto. And the only reason I can't find that is because it's Canadian. So the Canadian version of the NTSB is handling the investigation, and I don't exactly know where to look. I've looked, and my first couple of searches were unsuccessful. I'm probably going to have to report to ChatGPT to see if it can find anything for me. Because when I look on my own, I'm like, the airplane was equipped with an FDR and a CVR, which both were recovered from the accident scene and transported to the NTSB Vehicle Recorder's Laboratory in DC. Data from both the CVR and FDR were downloaded successfully. The CVR contained about 2 hours and 4 minutes of recorded data, including the entirety of the accident flight. The FDR contained about 63 hours of data and spanned 24 flights, including the accident flight. The FDR recorded about 450 parameters of flight data. The flight data for the accident flight started about 17:07 Eastern, with takeoff roll starting about 17:12. The flight data ended about 17:13:30, which The NTSB convened a separate CVR and FDR groups composed of qualified party members for transcribing the accident flight recording from the CVR and validating the flight data from the FDR respectively. So if we go back to, remember this, 1730 or 171330.
Mm-hmm.
If we go back to this, 171330 was 7, between 7 and 8. So they were right there when the data stopped, when it was damaged enough to stop, or it deemed flight over.
So here's my question. I mean, if they got the CVR and the FDR, and they can get the CVR up and running, and they can actually hear what's happened. No, that's the FDR, isn't it? Voice, yeah. The if they can get the FDR and they can find out exactly what happened from the moment the detach, the moment of first impact, I doubt very much, and this is my personal opinion, from the distance and everything else, I doubt very much they had any time whatsoever to recover. If they had a compressor failure on engine 3, they hadn't. I'm sorry to say this, but they had no chance because that plane was already banking left.
Well, and Gail made a good comment a little earlier. It said, just sad they knew they were not going to make it. How long did it take? A minute? I can't imagine that being the shortest minute, but the longest minute of your life.
Yeah.
And knowing that you're going to die and there's nothing you can do about it.
But I will carry on reading because I've got so much to fucking throw at this.
I can't, like, that, the psychological process involved in that, I can't, like, my brain can't function, like, can't process what that would be like. And I hope to never have to. The NTSB convened a separate CVR and FDR groups. Airplane and operator information. Here's where it gets interesting. The MD-11 is a 3-engine wide-body passenger airplane originally manufactured by McDonnell Douglas, which subsequently merged with the Boeing company. The MD-11F is the freighter version of the MD-11. The MD-11 can be equipped with either the GE CF6 series or Pratt & Whitney PW4000 series engine. The accident airplane was equipped with a GE CF6. The MD-11 was developed from the McDonnell Douglas DC-10 series airplane, which basically is one of the reasons that the DC-10 has now been grounded by the FAA, because this pylon to wing connection is kind of the same. It's not really and doing some research in the 1979 incident at Chicago O'Hare, the pylon to wing connection was never redesigned after that American Airlines disaster.
Here's my argument. Well, not an argument, but fuck it. This is what I'm going to say. Why is it that you get trained up to be an aircraft maintainer or a maintenance guy? You're trained on specific stuff, specialized stuff. Why is it that these accidents that could be avoided very easily by someone who's qualified to actually find these faults? Because you cannot tell me that no one knows that a freaking jet engine, right, that produces thousands of pounds of thrust will not affect the struts and the connections towards the wing. That they don't check that. I mean, like, how many of these accidents, regardless, look, we had the 777, then we had the 737, then we've got helicopters, we've got freaking, I mean, do you know when someone says, I throw my teddy out of the pram and now my dummy is about to fucking follow? Pacifier for the Americans. It's like, where do you draw the freaking line?
I knew what a dummy was. I just had never heard that phrase. Yeah, that's got to be a British thing.
Right. Where do you draw the fucking line? where do you turn around as a responsible individual, as a pilot or anyone else, and go, where's the maintenance record on that? When was the last time this plane was checked? I mean, the amount of times I've heard friends of mine over in the States or in Australia or here in Europe, they've gone, oh yeah, I was sitting on a plane for 3.5 hours and then they all deboarded us because the plane didn't work. And then they put us on another plane, and just after takeoff, we had to turn back because there was something wrong with the plane. I mean, like, how many people have to lose their life for this shit not to happen? Accidents happen, okay, fine, but this could have been avoided.
I
So
feel
I
like
just
this
don't-
could have been avoided starting in 1980.
Yeah.
But like that's just my personal opinion, because I have not been able to find anything that says that the wing was redesigned, or the pylon and wing connection site was redesigned after the 1979 incident with American Airlines at Chicago that killed 200 and something people. And it's, the information is in here as far as like how many people, because they bring it up in here. FYI, I did put this into Speechify, and while I was doing some stuff earlier today, I was listening to it to kind of get a, because
Yeah,
I
I
love
hear what you're
reacting to it.
Mm.
I love reacting to it and getting my initial opinions. However, sometimes we have to move this process along a little bit. And when I already think I know what the report is going to say, it's just better if I read it prior. And
Yeah.
you know,
And Jeff in Montgomery, I totally hear what you're saying, bud.
that was the cause of a flight going down. The pylon brackets were broken from improper reattachment after engine repair. Yeah, and the problem with that was not. So the problem, if I'm remembering correctly, combined with what I know about, I was an AT, not an AE. The AEs dealt with the wiring with the engine, with the mechs. It was like an AE AD love fest whenever they dropped an engine. I was an AT. I stayed the hell away from that shit as much as I could. But when you're dropping an engine, it puts stress on various places. And the way they were doing it was putting stress on areas, which is one of the reasons that they did not, in my opinion, is why they did not redesign it. It was not a failure of the design, it was a failure of how it was being maintained, and not so much the connection, like from an airframe and a structures perspective, but the stress points of when you were putting an engine on. The torque that was being put on certain parts of the pylon were not what they were supposed to be. So, but that's my opinion, is why it was never redesigned. I think that that's a problem, because I think that mechs are going to do it the way mechs want to do it, because it's what's easiest for them, just based on having to bend over backwards, literally, to attach a part. I've literally had to bend over backwards and basically get myself into a back bend position and do this to try to install a part. So hoping and praying that I don't drop my tools or the part in the process. So if instead of working with the mechanics, from what I could find, instead of working with the mechanics to figure out why they were putting it on that way and redesigning it to make it easier for maintenance, they just changed the way they were supposed to maintain it, which only can get you so far, because if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I just remembered in 2003 when we first flew out to Iraq. Weirdly enough, we had to land in Budapest for some reason, and it was winter. So you imagine we're all dressed in our fucking desert gear, and then we land in fucking Budapest in midwinter. And they said there was, and that was a DC-10. That was a DC-10. So
and Jeffrey, well, yeah. And Jeffrey, I know you were talking about another kind of aircraft in another company, but what you were saying was literally what happened in the pretty much the exact same scenario in the American Airlines crash, where the way they were dropping and reinstalling the engines was putting pressures, torques on the pylon that was not designed to take. So it's pretty much so it wasn't the design, it was how it was being maintained. Different aircraft, different company, same problem. Which is why I think if you find me as a maintainer, if I was having the maintenance experience, if I was a designer or an engineer and I saw that this being a problem, I would want to go talk to my mechanics and be like, why are you guys doing it this way? What is so difficult about doing it the other way? And what can we do to work together to make this safer for everybody? But I feel like this is also a time of, I'm an engineer, I know better than you. I'm a mechanic, I know how to do it.
Yeah, there's an old saying that when we used to when I came back off my certain course and we had to repair the vehicles, or we had to do something in the engine bay or anything else, there were certain people that would say, take shortcuts and stuff like that. 90% of the time, shortcuts usually always fix the problem, because people know how to fix it. They know how to take it apart. They know what they're doing, and they put it back together again. However, if the part is if you've got a part of a vehicle or an engine or an aircraft that is fundamental for the safety of that vehicle or aircraft, right, it's going to need more than one mechanic, because you need to make absolutely sure, one, that you're not over tightening the bolts, because that's where you have the torque wrench, right? And any bolt has to be torqued, and then you've got your safety wires and everything else. But the fact that if they took that engine off and repaired an engine, hypothetically speaking, right, and they didn't check the stabilizer and then reinstall the engine without checking the stabilizer or anything around it, the amount of times that things have been replaced and they haven't checked, like the clamping hooks on the cargo doors. A few years ago, a plane cargo door just went, no, fuck it, I'm off, and detached from the aircraft because it wasn't locking correctly because of damage to, I think it was one of the rotary bar bolts that turns. So it all comes down to the individuals who actually enforce not enforce it, who employ engineers or mechanics to fix these aircraft, and they don't follow up by double checking their work.
Yeah, so
because they do have what they call them, these X-ray machines. There's the handheld, what you call it, meteorology.
Yeah, metallurgy.
Metallurgy, yeah. So where they fucking spray something onto the surface, and then they take this. It's like fucking you going to have your baby looked at, ultrasound type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they can actually find hairline fractures or hairline cracks in the steel or metal. And here we have a engine that probably weighs a couple of ton. Just go, boop, laters.
Yeah, there's some. It all goes back to how many people are involved, and when you get too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah. Well, as Cassius says, too many chiefs and not enough Indians.
Exactly. So UPS is a cargo airline and it's based in Louisville. The company operates a variety of aircraft, including Boeing 757-200F, 767-300F, Airbus A300-600F. Why did they put this in the middle? I'm sorry, NTSB. Once again, like, y'all got to make this shit easy to read. Boeing 757, 767, MD-11, 747, and 747-8F. A300 is an Airbus. Completely different company. So you put Boeing, Airbus, Boeing. I know it's trivial, but like y'all are supposed to be smart. Air at least put Airbus A300 600F. Like I know it's me being trivial and picky, but when you're putting out an NT or a preliminary report and you're supposed to be smarter than us, act like it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, I know that's me being nitpicky and stupid, but like this, because then you get a person who doesn't know what these aircraft are and thinks that that is a Boeing. And now we'll go and when they tell the story of they read this and this is what they read, now they tell that somebody else that that's an Airbus, and then trying to convince somebody, or they will tell this it's Boeing aircraft, and then trying to convince someone that this is as an Airbus is going to be like pulling teeth. So it might be in the order. Actually, it's not, because MD-11s are 9%. I believe 747s, 400F and 8F are more. So I don't think it's the amount of aircraft.
I mean, it's
Because I
747
believe
400. That's a fucking old plane, that.
I believe that MD-11s are the least used. I think they were only 9% of the fleet. But I think that they might have combined 747s, the 8F and the 400F into one when I saw 747, but I believe 747 was over 9%.
Mm.
So, but it's just, I know it's trivial and I know it's stupid, and I know, go ahead and light me up in the comments section when you read this. Thanks for the engagement. I appreciate it. But it's one of those things of like, if someone reads it and then they say, by English standards, Boeing this, and you don't put Airbus in there, or at least put Airbus, now someone's going to go and think that is a Boeing aircraft, and trying to convince them otherwise because they read it in an NTSB report is going to be
Okay, let's move on.
As part of FAA requirements, the accident airplane was equipped with ADS-B out, engine pylon to wing connection. The left and right, the number 1 and number 3 engines of the MD-11 are attached to the underside of pylons that are in turn attached to the underside of each wing. The center number 2 engine is attached to the base of the vertical stabilizer. The left and right pylon attaches to their respective wing via a forward mount bulkhead, a thrust link assembly, and an aft mount bulkhead. For simplification, this report will refer to these bulkheads as the forward mount and the aft mount. The forward mount contains 2 spherical bearings that are vertically aligned upper and lower that attach to the wing. The thrust link assembly located immediately behind the forward mount. The forward mount's lower spherical bearing primarily transmit thrust loads. The pylon aft mount is an assembly composed of 2 independent fittings bolted together with lugs, forward and aft lugs, that house a single spherical bearing. See figures 5 and 6. For this report, reference to the pylon aft mount spherical bearings include both the bearing's ball element and its outer race. The clevis on the underside of each wing connects the pylon aft mount via attachment hardware. Okay, so here is the figure 5. Basically, just a breakdown of what we're looking at. So the forward, inside a left pylon, there's the forward and aft lugs and the wing clevis right here. Is that clear to everybody, or do we need to reread it again? Yes, it is a little technical, but welcome to aircraft maintenance and aircraft design. This is one of the reasons that sometimes when Mr. Squid talks and I'm like, I know what you're talking about, but like my brain just can't process it. Then that's when you just listen. Figure 5, the pylon to wing mount diagram, with the inset image shown details of the pylon aft mount connection to the wing clevis. Boeing, edited by NTSB, is the source. So, that's a I mean, and when you're actually working on it, it doesn't seem to be, or it's not that technical looking because you've been doing it for a while. Everything good?
Hmm?
I heard a dog barking. I thought I heard a dog barking.
Yeah, it's all good.
All right. So this is what it actually looks like. Here's forward, the wing clevis, the aft lug, and the forward lug. And for ease of discussion, they've labeled it the aft green, the forward yellow. They seem to keep
1
it.
second. Be right back.
They seem to keep these color codings consistent. Thank goodness. All right. Figure 6 is an exemplar installation of the pylon aft mount to the wing clevis. The aft mount spherical bearing is obscured by the wing clevis. Oh, it seems like such a simple thing, but that is basically what's holding the engine onto the wing. Ugh. Recovery operations and wreckage examination. The airplane wreckage was spread over a wide area and significantly fragmented and burned. The left engine, left pylon, including its forward and aft mounts, fragments of an engine fan blades, and separated pieces from the left engine were found on and adjacent to runway 17R. Recovered portions were transferred to a secure hangar on the airport property for further examination by investigators. The left pylon's aft mount, forward and aft lugs were both found fractured near their 2 o'clock inboard fracture and 9 o'clock outboard fracture positions, which is stress points if I'm remembering correctly. When in the aft-looking forward frame of reference, see Figure 7, the fractured and separated upper portions of the forward and aft lugs were found adjacent to runway 17R. The left wing clevis, aft-mounted spherical bearing, and aft-mounted attachment hardware were found with a portion of the left wing at the accident site. The bolt, spherical bearing, and associated hardware remain attached to the wing clevis. The spherical bearing outer race had fractured circumferentially. English is hard some days. Exposing the ball element. Hey, Tammy.
Me eating the grass and the fuck of the chicken. English is the language, huh?
Circumferentially. There we go.
Circumferentially.
It's like they had to choose the most difficult way to explain it,
Sounds like a
knowing that I would
posh way
have problems with it. They did that on purpose.
No, it sounds like a posh way of saying you're going to be circumcised today, sir. But just before you carry on, right? Here's the problem I've got. There are, if you look at the pylon attachments and everything else, there are too many freaking holes, and like anyone who knows about, if you drill too many holes in the places, you shut up. Shut it. Not a word. No. Anyway, with the amount of holes, okay, that you're always going to end up with.
Sorry, I lost it.
You're going to end up with fractures, because the thing is that, like, how do you stop a crack in a surface? You drill a hole at the end of the crack, but what you're doing, you're taking away and richly strength away from the actual object itself. And if you look at the engine mounting strut, there's a lot of freaking bolts and attachments, and there's only that little piece. So yeah. Anyway, one more thing. Holes.
I don't know. It's not what you said. It's the way you said it, where it was just like my brain went off into left field.
No, you just need to get your freaking head out of the gutters, madam.
I was
Let's
Navy.
just
Come on.
be real about it. Like, we're talking about a freaking air accident, not freaking.
Okay. Well, you can mark.
Anyway, I'm gonna continue blowing my nose.
You can mark Spawn Trooper broke squid off your bingo card. All right. The right engine remained attached to the wing pylon, both found at the accident site. The right wing pylon to wing forward and aft mounts had separated from the right wing pylon, but were found about 87 feet from the right engine. The right pylon aft mount remained attached to the right wing clevis. Oh, I mean, let's see if I can find the diagram of the stress points.
There you go. I rest my case, because if you look
Yeah.
at those brakes, right? If you look at those brakes, that there's stress. That's
Yeah.
there's a lot of pressure on that. So that means
Well, and you can tell you can tell just based on the fact that it's shiny.
not
Like,
just that,
which
but if you
means
look, I mean, like I've seen metal rip and snap, and that there is basically, that there was shit that was going to happen. That was a thing to happen. So that's not new. Exactly, because you got that white line around the edge.
yeah.
That
I mean, you
means
can
there was
see
a
like this one looks like it was ripped based on the fact that the other ones were ripped.
Yeah.
However, if you look at this part right here, and I'm going to zoom in, I'm going to see how zoomed in I can get. Like, I know a little bit, like emphasis on little, that this was a prior crack, because that's not how metal breaks unless it's super cold. But that was a fracture, whether it was a micro fracture or a noticeable fracture. This is speculation on my part, but I know
that's fracture.
that was a prior fracture, and it
Yeah.
broke at that point because that point was already fractured. Like,
And
you can tell, because that's not what this is.
Yeah,
This
but
is what metal looks like when it's
but don't
ripped.
forget, okay, we have to take into consideration, and this needs to be added, right? There's damage to this forward and aft strut, and there's damage to both sides of it. We need to take into consideration impact on solid objects and also ground and everything else that can cause damage. However, the aft looks like, you can, I mean, the thing is, if you look inside it, there are marks inside, and if you look, that looks like there was movement. And if you look on the right hand side on the forward aft one, if you look in the center at the bottom, you can see the same shiny lines going from one end to the other. So there was definitely freaking movement there, right? And I mean, I'm not an expert. I'm just pointing out that there's a lot of stuff in there. And you see that big deep groove that's in the forward aft one in the center. There's a big groove in it. Now that's probably happened when it detached. You're muted, by the way.
Green or yellow?
Yellow. If you have a look at the yellow, that's the forward part. You see that big groove in the center, right next to that groove. You see like a little white shiny line. You got the same lines on the aft one as well. Now that groove there is a possibility that was caused by the engine detaching when it happened. The shiny lines look like wear and tear, so there has to be movement. There must have been movement. And then if you look at the rest of the I wouldn't mind seeing actual fact. I've got
Snipe Hunter, thanks for finishing my thought and trying to put what I wanted to say into words. My brain couldn't just come up with my brain cannot come up with sentences sometimes, even though I know what I'm looking at and I know what I want to say. If I wrote it down, I could do it, but the brain mouth connection sometimes doesn't work. Sometimes it works a little too well, and sometimes it just doesn't work.
I just
The
noticed
darker
something here.
stuff is older. The shiny stuff is new. Which
I just noticed something. Hang on a minute. Wing cleaves. Huh.
but this to me right here is like you can see the fact that this was under stress. Like you know what brand new metal looks like, and then you know
Mm?
what metal under stress looks like. Hi, Mrs. Spawn.
It's good saying hello.
Hi, darling.
Thank you, Jeffrey. No oxidation means fresh. Thank you.
Do you know, thinking about it, right? The aft log, because I'm looking at both now.
Yeah. I'm focused on the aft one because that's also
there's
would be
definitely yeah, now looking at everything, because I've seen the other pictures now, yeah, I'm fucking 100% that there was hairline fractures in that, and that's what, and also there was movement as well, because the shiny parts, like that's obviously what Sniper said. The shiny means fresh. The shiny parts in both of those front and aft lugs means that there was some sort of movement back and forth, like twisting instead of sideways.
but also this would explain why it went up, because look at which one cracked first.
The aft,
So that would be another
the back.
Logical argument as to why the engine went the way it did.
Yeah, back snapped, engine went up, and then the
Snapped the other
forward lug
ones.
snapped, and then the engine detached. Yeah.
And then I'm going to zoom out so we can see this whole thing. So figure
And that-
7, what we were just looking at was the left, the separated left pylon after recovery and the left pylon's aft mount.
Yeah.
The fractured forward and aft lugs. So this is the aft mount. So the aft mount was the one that broke first, hence
Yeah.
why it dropped, it went up.
And also in the spherical bearing, the bearing, you can see that piece of metal sticking out. I think that's what caused that gorge in the forward lug.
Hold on. I'm going to see if my CRJ works better for this, because CRJ at least has better engines for this particular I'm still here.
Yeah. I mean, you can actually see how it went. The spherical bearing left a nice gorge in the forward lug.
I'm done. The CRJ has aft mounted engines too. So I forgot. I don't have a, but thanks for letting me know for demonstration purposes. This is let me know that I need a,
It's a MD-11 aircraft, Tammy.
Yeah.
Mademoiselle.
This is this was, I'm going to look at an MD-80 real quick because my mom has an MD-80 that she might let me borrow. I promise I will not break this one. MD-80 aircraft, because she has an MD-80 because the airline we worked for used to fly MD-80s. So, MD-80, Boeing MD-80s
I like the way they took a picture next to the damaged one and took a picture where it says Japan on it. Well, they're saying that Japan doesn't produce good shit.
Wait, what?
And figure 7.
Oh.
That's where that big gorge came from in the forward lug. You see that?
The figure 8. The left wing clevis fractured spherical bearing marked by the red brackets.
Yeah.
And associated detachment hardware found at the accident site left an exemplar spherical bearing.
Jesus. That was richly snapped in half.
I mean,
Well, at least the bolts held. So
Hey,
there was
Jen.
there was no split between the two bolts, which are very close to each other.
Oh, yes. And for those of you just joining us, please hit that like button. This is
Yeah.
the preliminary report for the UPS MD-11F crash from November 4th.
Hi, Heidi.
So it dropped yesterday,
Idle.
and we are reading it today. So,
Yes.
and if you were expecting a members only live stream today, I have pushed that back till tomorrow because of the fact that I cannot mentally process more than one live stream in a day. We figured that out a couple weeks ago when I went into the wrong live stream. Anyway,
It's old age. Don't worry about it.
it's old age. No, it's cognitive impairment and attention deficit issues.
Sorry,
Not to
who are
the
you again?
exactly.
Who am I? Where am I? Who are you?
Heidi is stalking me. Squid Valhalla's goats had babies. First of the season. Awesome. And 3 awesome dogs. Good afternoon from balmy 50-degree Michigan. It's 80 degrees here. The only reason I'm wearing wearing a sweater is because of the fact that I don't want my
Wait a minute.
shoulders on a.
Said. Wait a minute. Spawn Truth. My hubby said at least the bolts held the same time you did. Shut up, Gail.
Squid,
You
it's from Milwaukee. It's 80 degrees here, bro. Like, it's 80 degrees here. We have the air conditioning on.
And it's Mr. Stein to you, Mr.
This is where we have like the heat and air conditioner get rotated on a regular. We don't just do what I did in Milwaukee when it was like, okay, now it's time to turn off the heat and you just turn on fans and you can live like that for a few weeks where you don't need heat or air conditioning. This is like one day you need heat in the morning, the air conditioner in the afternoon, then you need heat all day, then you can open up the windows, and then you need air conditioning again. It's just all over the freaking place right now.
Well, put it this way. I mean, it's that cold around here that you can actually put stuff outside and it will freeze and stay fresh.
No, thank you. That was the best refrigeration though. Like, you didn't need to put a fridge out in the garage. You just needed to wait till like November, and then the fridge was the garage, or the garage was the fridge.
Yep.
Yeah. You're in shorts and barefoot. I'm barefoot, but I'm also planning on going to the gym after this because I had a headache this morning. I had a little bit of a headache this morning, and then the little head butted me, and I'm like, okay, I just need to stay here.
Well, then again, I did go outside very early this morning with my flip flops on. And no t-shirt.
You won't see me wearing shoes unless I'm going to the gym, or it's under 30 degrees.
So let me ask you a question. Let's get some sort of technical question here. Do you think, because there's a lot of materials out there, well, you don't because you're eating right now, so you carry on eating while I ask everyone else. No, don't worry, eat, carry on. Right, here's a question I want to put to the community here. You know, we all know about wear and tear, and we all know that no matter what it is, there's a certain lifespan anything has before it has a catastrophic failure. So considering that these aircrafts are that old, do you agree with the opinion that, like, every, say, if an engine is removed, that the engine struts and everything else should be removed and replaced with new? But only if an engine is removed, not if an engine is being worked on, because obviously it hasn't been removed.
Not necessarily. But I do think that when an engine is changed, you need to do some better inspections of the.
No, I'm talking about the age of the aircraft. I'm not talking about the actual mounts or anything. What I'm saying is that if the aircraft is older than, say, 25 years, if it's not broken, don't fix it. But if an aircraft is older than 20 or 25 years, that any type of removal of, like, landing gear, engine, or wing, or flaps, or anything to do with the actual aircraft is then fully removed and then replaced with new.
Once again, I don't think so. However, when an engine is replaced, no matter the age of the aircraft, I think that structures around the aircraft need to be better inspected. There needs to be a better process of, okay, we just changed an engine. We might have put stress on places that should not be stressed. And we need to now inspect however deep the inspection may go, whether it's a damn x-ray. I'm sure there's a technical term for that in aviation. Like I said, avionics here, not really my department. However, I do feel like there needs to be a better inspection, no matter the age of the aircraft. Anytime you mess with an aircraft and you mess with the structure of an aircraft, my personal opinion is you need to inspect now areas around where you messed with in the hopes of preventing something like this.
I mean, personally, I think, like we've mentioned multiple times before, I think it's money saving. And like, if they can't even upgrade ATCs and God knows what else and train the staff, what chances have you got of actually, getting someone to actually do their freaking job?
And this is where I would love to get Mr. Squid's opinion on this, but he will be like, no, I'm not coming on your YouTube channel. So even if he were standing like right there and, I would just put the mic up and let him talk, he still probably wouldn't do it. But he also claims not to be an expert, and he's full of it because we all know that he is. NTSB materials laboratory examination. The left pylon aft mount, fractured lugs from the left pylon aft mount, and the left wing clevis containing the aft mount spherical bearing and attached hardware were retained for further examination at the NTSB materials laboratory. The right pylon aft mount and wing clevis assembly, as well as 2 engine fan blade fragments found on runway 17R, were also retained for further examination at the NTSB Materials Lab. So figure 9, left pylon aft mount, the fractured and separated forward and aft lugs, and the left wing clevis containing the attachment hardware and fractured spherical bearing. Like that just, like the power of, like just the power that it takes to bend metal like that is like, I hear with my age dear, the little one making her presence known. Yeah, she grabbed a straw from one of her cups from like the fair, and she figured out that if she blows into the straw, it makes a whistling sound. I don't know how she learned it, but she did. And we now have a makeshift recorder in the midst.
I mean, can you just imagine how many pounds of pressure went through that to snap that, like if it was nothing?
It amazes me. I just can't, like, it's things that like you look at and it's hard to process. But you can literally look and like match where, and here's that shiny part again. Like, hey, hon. Hold on a sec. Hold on 1 second. Look at that picture. Would you say that there was some fractures and damage to that prior to that snapping?
Zoom in. Zoom in. Zoom. Keep zooming.
Keep zooming. Okay.
No.
There was no damage to that prior
I mean, there's damage on the corner. That's probably post impact.
post impact. Does it look like there was any damage prior to it ripping apart?
NDT will tell you everything you need to know.
What's that?
Non-destructive testing. Eddy current, ultrasonic inspection.
Ultrasonic inspection. That's like an X-ray, right? Or an ultrasound? Okay.
That penetrating will show you cracks.
This is
I
one
said
of the
that
many
earlier
reasons
on.
I love you.
I said that earlier on, the ultrasound, like in this. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, at least I got something right.
See? No. If I ever want to remain friends with Mo or parasocial friends or whatever, the last thing I want to do is send her any sound bite of a recorder. That's like sending her a bottle of patchouli oil. It's not going to happen if you ever want to be on Mo's good side. Just a thought. Yeah. You heard that. Okay. The expert has spoken. A rare Mr. Squid audio. Yeah. Like I said, you see what I mean? Why I pick his brain and sometimes he looks at me like, why are you asking? But he's the expert. I am not. What snapped? This is the aft pylon. The aft part of the pylon, the aft lugs, the forward lug. This is basically what was holding the engine to the back of the wing, or the back of the pylon. This is what snapped. So this is non-destructive testing, NDT. Mental note for next time. This is why I didn't work in structures, so all the information that I have on structures is based on watching the mechs and airframers do their thing, and him. So,
Do you know what you
yeah.
should do when we cover stuff like this? Is turn around to Papa Squid or Daddy Squid and go, and this is your words, not mine. Hey, sweetness, darling, sweetie heart, have a look at this, and here's a pen and paper, and just like make one behind each topic, and then just write your opinion. Thank you, darling. I'll cook you a 5-course meal next week. Thank you. Bye.
Or just use the recorder on my phone and like look at this picture and tell me everything you think about this picture.
Yeah, and then use voice changer to
Well, I would just read what basically have it transcribed and read what he said or read what his opinions are. But it would be awesome if he would join me, but he's not the YouTube type.
He would end up taking it over.
Well, this probably
because you've got two channels just like I have, so you can have that one and you can have this one.
Yes, but this is one of the reasons. Like I have knowledge on some of this, but once again, I was avionics. Different, same but different. I worked on aircraft, just not this part of aircraft. So it's like a motor mount for cars or a rubber grommet. No. But they're supposed to be. Nice to hear his voice anyway. See, he does exist.
And yeah, and I come with the outside input because I like research.
Yeah. Plus, one of the reasons that we started this was you were covering the if I'm remembering correctly, the Canadian CRJ or the Delta CRJ that flipped over in Canada. You were covering it on your channel and I wanted to cover it. So I invited you on and then we just kind of went from there.
Yeah, not just that. I was also discussing the BAT 25 incident.
Oh, yes.
In
That's
that
true
one
too.
as well. And then
That is
obviously
true too.
the New Jersey incident as well. So basically that's how, and it was inevitable anyway. We were going to end up on the same platform together one way or the other.
Yeah, that's how this got started. So
yeah, I mean the Navy always needs to be watched, so that's why the Army comes in and looks. Yeah, just saying it as it is.
If you really want to go that, if you really want to go that way, we can go. Didn't the U.S. need to save Britain's ass in World War II? I'm just saying, this is just a thought. But that was before your time, so.
They were invited to dinner and they stayed.
All right. There's no rubber in there. This is and World War One. Well, we weren't.
Hey, listen, if it wouldn't be for us, you probably might be speaking Japanese, Chinese, or some other language. We were the bridge that stopped.
With as many times as I've watched K-pop Demon Hunters these days lately, I am starting to speak Korean. I wish I could read it, but I'm starting to speak it. All right. Getting back to this, because we only have 3 pages left. After initial cleaning of the fracture surfaces, examination of the left pylon, aft mount lug fractures found evidence of fatigue cracks, in addition to areas of overstress failure. On the aft lug, both the inboard and outboard fracture surfaces, a fatigue crack was observed where the aft lug bore met the aft lug forward face. For the forward lug's inboard fracture surface, fatigue cracks were observed along the lug bore. For the forward lug's outboard fracture surface, the fracture consisted entirely of overstress with no indications of fatigue cracking. That would be from all the rest of them cracking and that being the only one carrying all the weight. I mean, that would be how my brain works. The forward top flange of the aft mount assembly was examined for indications of deformation of pre-existing fractures, but no indications were found. The spherical bearing was removed from the wing clevis for further evaluation. See Figure 10. Spherical bearing and attachment hardware after the removal from the left wing clevis. And they're zip tied together for obvious reasons, because, little parts go missing.
Interesting that bolt is still straight.
The big one?
Mm-hmm.
Or both of them?
Yeah. I find it very. Zoom in on the bottom one. Hang on, what am I doing? I've got the same freaking. I mean, yeah. Look at the thread.
Yeah.
Just the bottom shiny part where that thread. So that thread and that bolt withstood that amount of pressure.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So it just shows you. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, look at the thread on the top one, on the other bolt. Because usually if something rips out from the thread, it flattens it. It just, but that thread still looks fairly intact, except in the center. So they'd done their job, really. Ooh, 8 inches. No, that's what she said. No, I mean, you muted, by the way, but no, that's 8 inches.
Here's another point where it gets a talking point, shall you say, of the maintenance and inspections. And this goes to a larger point of, should this have been the cycles and the inspection time frame? But we'll get into it. At the time of the accident, N259 UP had accumulated the total time of about 92,992 hours and 21,043 cycles. The accident airplane was maintained under a continuous airworthiness maintenance program. A review of the inspection tasks for the left pylon aft mount found both a general visual inspection and a detailed visual inspection of the left pylon aft mount required by UPS's maintenance program at a 72-month interval.
So does that mean they use the ultrasound stuff, what Mr. Squid mentioned?
No. Well, I don't know. It says a general visual inspection and a detailed. I do not know what those.
The thing is, general visual inspection, that's just freaking looking at it.
That's what I would assume that's what my brain tells me by just looking at it would be.
Yeah, that's basically like you looking at your.
That's like
your note, at your pen and going, the pen is fully intact. It still works. I can still use it. So that there is not an inspection.
Yeah, and this is making me, because part of the questions that I had before this was the maintenance records, and that the fact that I've heard that it was in maintenance for a month, but the maintenance records were never made public. So, but 72
Oh,
months, think about 72 months, that's 5 years. Or no, 6 years.
yeah. But the thing is,
6
if the
years.
maintenance documents haven't been published, that means they are investigating it. So that
Yeah.
means they've probably found something that they need to look into.
And the FAA, if you are ever involved in an FAA investigation, they are not nice people. They have a job to do. If you ever even like turned a wrench on that plane, you will be investigated. And it's kind of invasive from what I hear. I've never personally, but I know people.
Yeah, I've never. I don't know anyone who's had the pleasure of.
Yeah, this is the thing. 72 months. Like 72 months maybe on like a a 737 that is 3 years old. Okay, I can maybe. But like a 6-year inspection on an aircraft that's 34 years old?
Yeah.
Maybe
On
we should.
aircraft, and like I said,
Hey,
on aircraft
81.
older than freaking 20 years or 25 years, they should have inspections every 12 to 18 months.
And there are cycles of inspections. Like we had a 50-hour, a 100-hour, we had different inspections based on things that had to be done after every flight, every day.
Yeah.
After 50 flight hours, after 2 months of just general time. They were all different sorts of policies.
Just like vehicles, you had your first parade and your halt parade, and then your closing down parade, your last parade. And once you close down a vehicle, that was a full check, 100% check, and you got a 24-hour, a 50-hour, 100-hour, and then you've got like a 6-monthly full inspection where it gets sent away to a ABROS, or what they call it, and that is independent, so you can't involve yourself in that check.
It's just one of those situations. I do have questions that I'm writing down, like what's a detailed versus a general as far as UPS is concerned, because I'm sure different companies have different manufacturers have different wording for things.
Sure.
Of the left pylon required by UPS's maintenance program at a 72-month interval. 72 months, 6 years, and was last accomplished on October 28th, 2021. So it was not due until October 2027. Think about that. This was not in a platform with a history of pylon issues. I mean, this just sounds like it's Swiss cheese where all the holes lined up.
Keep reading. That's interesting. I'm not going to give it away, but keep reading. That's very interesting.
That's AT1 says that cycle is ridiculous. My shop hung from the hangar roof, and the 5 containers had a 3-year inspection cycle with all attaching bolts not only inspected but replaced. Yeah, and that's also the difference between military aviation and civilian aviation. I'm learning. Well, and I wonder how many parts were cannibalized off of it and reinstalled. Yeah. And that's part of the thing too. Like even for us, when we would aircraft 600, this radio was like bad. We would go and steal one from another aircraft, our aircraft, of course, like our squadron. So we're not stealing it from, but instead of it being assigned to 601,
it's not stealing, it's requisitioning or borrowing.
Yeah. I can hear Jeff Foxworthy, if you change the oil filters 5 times more often than looking over the engine mounts for wear, you might be an airplane mechanic. Yeah. A 24-month or 4,800-hour lubrication task of the pylon thrust links and pylon spherical bearings was last accomplished on October 18th of 2025.
Keep reading.
That-
You're going to like the last part.
A special detailed inspection of the left pylon aft mount lugs would have been due at 29,200 cycles. And the left end of the left wing clevis support due at 28,000 cycles. The accident airplane record showed these two SDI tasks had not been accomplished. The aircraft had 21,043 cycles. The UPS grounded their MD-11 fleet on November 7th as a precautionary measure, and at the recommendation of Boeing, the FAA issued the Emergency Airworthiness Directive, which we read on this channel, on November 8th that prohibited further flight of MD-11 and MD-11F airplanes until they were inspected and all applicable corrective actions were performed using a method approved by the FAA Continual Operational Safety Branch, which
So my
they still hadn't to this point.
Right. So my my question of this, the fact that they've had their planes grounded, excuse me, here's my question. Well, two-part question. One, right? How many hurdles are they going to circumvent to get these planes airworthy again without lying and making shit up? And two, if they have to, from the airworthiness directive, if they have to go and check everything properly with including the ultrasound, checking the meteorology and everything else, will there be someone independent standing there watching that they actually do it, considering they didn't do the checks as per the last paragraph you just read?
I don't think these planes will ever fly again.
Or they get sold?
No,
to
I don't
another
think they
country?
will ever fly again. They were, I believe, at least UPS had a plan to phase them out because they are expensive. They're the 3-engine capability is not very fuel efficient.
No.
And I believe there was a plan to phase them out within the next year or two. However, I believe the hand was forced.
This year, definitely.
So I believe their hand was forced, but I believe they're just going to scrap all these aircraft, in the sense that they were going to phase them out anyway. They were going to phase them out anyway. I think UPS had a plan between 2028, I think was their plan. I'm thinking that with the cost that they will go through to fix these aircraft, and the cost that by the time these aircraft are airworthy again, both UPS and FedEx and the other one company I think that uses these aircraft will have a plan already in place where they've gotten their supply chain back up with other aircraft, whether it be through purchasing other aircraft, rerouting things. They will have come up with a plan. I do not think these will ever fly again. And that I mean, I could be wrong. This is like just my speculation based on what I've seen out of the civilian airline industry. Yeah, I think you're right. These aircraft are gone. The fact that they had a plan to phase them out anyway, combined with the cost that it will take to fix all of them.
That's a lot of money going down the drain
For aircraft that are 50 years old.
I mean, the only thing out of those planes that you can recover or salvage is the electronics and the engines. Everything else is scrap. But then again, who knows? I mean, April might say, "Oh, let's keep 5 of them and just get a specialized team to work on them all the time." But then again, when's it gonna happen again if they don't do their job, like failing to actually work on the planes in the first place, like it says in that maintenance and inspection?
So I'm looking at an article from DJ's Aviation or DJS Aviation. FedEx postpones MD-11 retirement. FedEx has quietly confirmed, and this was written 21 March 2025. FedEx quietly confirmed the retirement of its MD-11 fleet will be pushed back from 2028 to 2032 as part of an ongoing fleet renewal efforts. The company revealed the fleet development in its quarterly report, indicating that it'll exercise options for the Boeing 777F to continue reviewing its fleet. FedEx confirming it'll retain the MD-11 for another 4 years is welcome news for the tri-jet enthusiasts and lovers. Tri-jet meaning 3-engine. There's some people who are obsessed with aircraft that have 3 engines. I don't know why. It's like being obsessed with the $2 bill.
Like the TriStar.
You know, this aircraft type has seen its numbers dwindle in the global fleet for many years as more efficient options have emerged. FedEx notes that the aircraft will be kept around till at least 2032. Remember, this was back in March. Which gives the type another 7 years of operational life with the major U.S. freight operator. Fleet data indicates that FedEx now has 25 MD-11s based on the available March 21, 2025 data. 23 are active.
That's going to be a lot of money down the drain.
The fleets, the MD-11 fleet's average age is 31, making it the second oldest average by age, only 2 years behind the 757 at 33. As a result, the MD-11 fleet, while getting older, clearly has a purpose to serve for the operator for a bit longer. The retirement plan. In early 2023, FedEx called time on its MD-11 freighters, confirming that while no specific date had been provided, it would begin the gradual phase out of the fleet type. FedEx stating that retiring its MD-11s would be essential to cutting costs and reconfiguring its air market for decades, with a greater focus on efficient planes moving forward. While planes such as MD-11 have served an essential purpose across the business, their aging nature and the natural progression of other fleet types have made options available that offer more benefits. It said during this period, when MD-11's upcoming retirement was confirmed, FedEx also publicized that it would focus more strictly on its twin-jet freighters, which range from the aging 757, 767, and 777, while also having Airbus freighters. Since the company made this announcement, it has axed around 30 units from its active aircraft fleet type fleet. However, the date of the MD-11s were expected to be formally retired had not been publicly disclosed.
2 pages left.
So, it's expensive. So there's more, but I do not think that this aircraft will ever fly again in the sense of by the time that it's fixed. Because remember, in order to fix it, you have to figure out what to fix, which means the FAA has to come up with a plan with Boeing to figure out what exactly to change. It has to be designed. Then it has to be, a maintenance. Then you have to get all these planes into. They will be going back to Boeing. This will not be a UPS or FedEx. This will most likely be going to Boeing's company hangars, looking at. Then it has to be test flown, stress tested, all of that fun shit, which is all costing everybody money at this point. Yep. And I don't think they'll ever.
It's going to come down to money. Everything with what you just said all involves money, and there's going to be companies out there they're going to go, no, not worth it.
Well, and time as well, because the time it takes to do all these things, UPS and FedEx will have come up with a way to manage what they had to take out of their fleet. So right now, UPS is down 9% of their fleet. I guarantee you, every day, people in UPS shipping department, like their actual executives are coming up with a plan on how do we make shit work, especially with the holidays coming up. They're working 24/7 to try to figure out how to recoup and borrow aircraft and possibly buy new aircraft. And while they're doing this, their MD-11s are sitting there. So by the time that the MD-11s have a plan of what they need fixed, before you even spend money on fixing them. UPS will probably have a plan in place, as FedEx as well. And it's like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They've already got what they needed. It's kind of a waste at this point. It's not like Southwest, and if a 737 had to be grounded, Southwest only has 737s. They have to fix those planes. Otherwise, they
Yeah.
don't have a company.
The problem I've got is that it's always after an incident like this. They should have been dealing with this before. They should have been working on these aircraft to avoid what's happened, or at least try to avoid what's occurred. It's like when we take, like, a lot of people, instead of actually learning about their own vehicle, with the utmost respect, I'm not trying to put people down, but if you're driving a car, at least have the freaking decency to learn about the car, learn about what fluids go into the car, where the fluids go, and if need be, how to change your oil filter, just learn the basics. And I mean, like, it's these things that avoid the spending that you have to do when you have to take your car in because you didn't put oil in the car, or you didn't put lubrication, proper fuel in it, or you put the wrong brake fluids or whatever.
So we'll finish this, but I have a funny story. My car only has like 2,900 miles on it. My car has already had its 15,000 mile maintenance done by Toyota because somebody in a different state put a VIN number in wrong in a vehicle that they were maintaining. They messed up the VIN number and magically put my VIN number in there. So in Toyota's computer, when I took my car for an oil change the other day, magically in their computers, and this is why you need to talk to the people and not just rely on computers for things, because in their computer, my car already had its 10,000 mile maintenance. So they went ahead and did the 15,000 mile maintenance on it. Instead of looking at the odometer saying that, oh, it only has 2,900 miles on it, maybe we should talk to the owner instead of doing all that, not doing my oil change, by the way, not doing the only thing that I took it in there for was a fucking free oil change. And then going, well, we're a little confused on stuff, and then having to take my vehicle back while having my 3-year-old there who expects us to be leaving. And now when I say, no, we have to sit down a little bit longer, freaks the hell out.
It makes no sense. I mean, like, I if I can work, like I do work on my bike, I do work on the cars. If you know how to do it and you can do it properly, I mean, like for example, my brake line, when I took it for over here, it's called an MOT. Right? When I took it for MOT, I actually got praised of how good I did the job. It's knowing what to do. Sometimes you don't have to go to the garage to change your oil. You can do it yourself. You just need the right tools. You need to make sure that you don't over tighten stuff, and you need to make sure that you got the right stuff in the first place. But yeah, I'm going to start. I think I'm going to do something for people. Yeah, I think I'm going to
teach us how to maintain our vehicles.
Well, not just that, but also what to carry in your vehicle in the winters or in the summer. Or
what's a winter? Just kidding. Totally kidding.
Oh, in the heart, like, oh God! Just
totally
because you got your fancy light going different colors, you pick. No, I'm only joking. That's actually quite nice. I like the fact that there's a color and there's a teddy bear sitting there. I like that.
These are all my my teddy bears that I gave to my grandmother.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
After she passed away, I took them all back. Before my father had the chance to throw them in the garbage. Irish Village, Dubai. Everywhere I went, I got her a teddy bear.
Yeah, I like you've done that. Yeah, but you're sort of like
rock from Lisbon, proving I've been places.
Yeah, I'm liking the fact that you're sort of pimping your area out now.
Pimp my desk.
Yeah.
All right, let's read the rest of this. Do you want to read the
There's not much there. I've had a look. That's it.
Yeah, but it goes
Oh,
to talks about
where am I
a
reading
similar
from?
event. So I'll finish this sentence and then, or this paragraph, and then you can read similar events.
Yeah.
November 14th, they basically the FAA did another emergency airworthiness directive, which subsequently superseded the other one that they did. And it included both MD-11 and DC-10 series airplanes, the later based on their similar design to the MD-11. The pylon wing connection is the same. Effectively, there's some small differences, I'm sure, but, hey, maybe not. How are you?
Maybe not. Yay.
All right. You want to read similar events?
Oh, God. Yeah. Why not?
Why not? Hey,
Yes,
we have one page left. We're on page 11 of
Ladies
12.
and gentlemen, on May the 25th, 1979, about 15:04 Central Daylight Time, American Airlines Flight 191, a McDonnell Douglas DC-1010 aircraft, crashed into an open field just short of a trailer park, about 4,600 feet northwest of departure end of runway 32 Romeo at Chicago O'Hare, I know where you live, International Airport, Chicago, Illinois. Flight 191 was taken off from runway 32 Romeo. The weather was clear and the visibility was 15 miles. During the takeoff rotation, the left engine and pylon assembly and about 3 foot of the leading edge of the left wing separated from the aeroplane and fell to the runway. Flight 191 continued to climb to about 325 feet AGL. That means above ground level. And then began to roll to the left. Interesting. The aeroplane continued to roll to the left until the wings were past the vertical position, and during the roll, the aeroplane's nose touched down below the horizon. Flight 191 crashed into an open field, and the wreckage scattered into the adjacent trailer park. The aeroplane was destroyed in the crash and subsequent fire. 271 persons on board Flight 191 were unalived. 2 persons on the ground were also unalived, and 2 others were seriously injured. An old aircraft hangar, several automobiles, cars, and a mobile home were destroyed. The NTSB investigated America's Airlines Flight 191 accident. See NTSB number Delta Charlie Alpha 79 Alpha Alpha 017 and Aircraft Accident Report Alpha Alpha Romeo -79-17. The NTSB investigation.
And if you guys are interested in that, I can pull that and we can read it because I'm kind of interested now.
The NTSB investigation of U2 Flight 7 is ongoing. And here are the details of the aircraft and owner operation information. Blah, 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 blah.
Same thing we read at the beginning.
Yes, I don't say blah, 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 blah.
I was translating.
Okay. And here is more blah, 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 blah. Wreckage and impact information, crew free fatal damage, aircraft destroyed, aircraft fire, both in flight and on ground, 11 fatal, 2 serious, 21 minor. Total injuries, 14 fatal, 2 serious, 21 minor. Administrative information, investigator and charges, Chen Xiun. Additional participating persons, Heidi Kemner, FAA, Jacob Chambers, UPS, Nick James, Independent Pilot Association, James Mull, GE, Nathan Williams, Boeing, Chuck Landis, Team Master Airlines Division.
And it's a class 1 investigation because of the fatalities. That's what makes it a class 1. The most important. So, and that's all we have for that.
Do you know, a Devil fan just said something. Do you know if you took a impact wrench, right, with the proper attachments and what's the thing again? Torque wrench. You can get small torque wrenches for cars, and you had a little bag in the back of your cars with that in there, with a spare battery. But make sure you always take the battery out of the cars during the winter because cold is not good for batteries. Do you know that you'll be able to change your tire no matter if you're male or female?
I can change my tire. In
But
fact, on my old car, I did because I got a flat tire and I couldn't hold air for I don't know what. I tried to fill it up and try to see if I could make it to the garage without changing the tire, and I couldn't. Although Hyundai has a very cheap jack that comes with the vehicle, so I suggest if you have one of those vehicles that you buy yourself a better jack because mine bent. Trying to lower it down, it bent. It did not take the weight of my vehicle, even though it's rated for my vehicle and came with my vehicle. Make that one make sense. The metal bent.
Wait a minute. Do you know? Let me tell you a little story about changing tires.
Oh no. Settle in, everybody.
There's a truck, okay, in the many years ago, a friend of mine, we had to escort certain vehicles, and at the time, yeah, they needed co-drivers in these vehicles. And one of the vehicles that I was in, it was called a drops. Okay, it's a demountable rack offload pickup system, whatever you want to call it, or also known as the MLRRC. Now, these tires on these things are not small, and we ended up having a flat, but luckily we just got into camp, and everyone fucked off and left us, me and him. Now, this guy was 6'6", 6'7". He built like a brick shit. Actual fact, you know, when the sun started rising and he stood in front of the sun, he actually gave you the fucking eclipse. That's how big he was. And he turned around to me and he went, "Oh, how are we going to get the tire off?" And I went, "Well, go and get the jack and everything else. We'll just take the tire off and put the spare one on." We were there for 5.5 hours. And then we had to go and get a torque wrench to make sure that the bolts went, you know, the nuts went back on properly. And afterwards, someone came up and said, "Did you guys just change that tire on your own?" It went, "Yeah." How the hell did you get it off? Put it this way, we used straps, you know, the ratchet straps, stuff like that. We literally used ratchet straps to drag the axle up so the tire came off the ground. We then used pure force to get the tire off. And then we used ratchet straps to put it back on. That's why it took so long, because we didn't have a dolly. So there you go. So if you ever want to think about, you know, changing tires is hard, go and do your research on an MMLC, or or drops. They're both. Yeah, you get two different versions. You got the Foden MMLC, and then you got the Leyland.
Gail. I was hoping it would be about the Morris Minor.
Listen, when you've got headlights in front of you, all right, just make absolutely sure, especially if I'm driving, make sure it's not a Morris Minor, because I'll tell you one thing, you will get a headache.
Oh, and I just checked because I'm going to go see if we can redirect to anybody.
Yes.
Thank you to the one person who hit the down button.
Oh, no, that's I personally think like that's done by accident, because like some people need to put their glasses on when they come in.
No, there's every single one of my like every single one of my streams going back months, except for the Epstein files.
I think
it has at least 1 to 2 people who, usually it's 3. Generally it's 3.
I mean, the thing is, like, people who dislike you or don't like you, you know, they'll think, "Oh yeah, if I put the thumbs down, it's going to affect their
That's
platform."
why
No,
it's
it's not.
funny.
It's not. It's not.
That's why it's hilarious to me.
No.
Because it's like, okay. But so getting back to this particular situation,
Yeah.
remember, guys, this is only a preliminary report.
Yeah.
We don't work in, yes, we did talk about some hypotheticals and things we noticed and things we saw. However, we are not here to jump to conclusions. Spawn is military. I am a former aviation electronics tech. We don't do jumping to conclusions.
No.
This is only the preliminary report and our speculations based on what we saw.
Mm.
When the final report comes out, and it will be months, because remember it is November, we still don't have the final report from the DC collision that happened January 29th.
Or the
That
one
means
from the Jersey helicopter incident.
yes. We don't have any of those.
Right.
However, if there are changes, you damn sure know that when those reports come out, we will be talking about them, and we will be combing through side by side the final report compared to the preliminary to see what changed when they got more information. Also, yes, thank you, Keith. This is educated conjecture at best.
Yeah.
That's yes. We don't go based on, oh, I saw sparks, there's a conspiracy theory there. No, like common sense would tell you with that amount of fire that there was some shit that went through engine 2. Hence why you saw sparks in certain videos that you saw, you could see sparks coming out of engine 2. I guarantee you in the final report, we can, if they go into more about what happened with the other engines, there will be a FOD report from.
And also you have to
engine 2.
take into consideration there's actual video evidence of when that plane took off. From one video, you don't actually see the engine detaching. All you see is smoke and then fire. Like, because that's what you're paying attention to, and that's why it's always best when you watch videos is watch it once just to watch it, okay, to actually go, oh wow, fucking hell, and then go back and watch it again, and then look at certain parts of the screen, like look at the wings, look at the fuselage, look at the ground, look at the air. And like I did that, and I didn't see the engine, and then in these pictures you can richly see the engine detached.
So Devil Fan, FYI, we had talked about it on multiple streams previously, but there was a helicopter, what is it? Not a passenger helicopter, you know what I mean, sightseeing helicopter, that had basically broken apart over the Hudson River. I have a whole aviation playlist with multiple videos on that if you want to watch them.
It was a major rotary malfunction, wasn't it?
Oh yes, that helicopter came apart. That came apart. But the final report for that still has not come out. So when the final report comes out for that, we will be reading it. But the thing about the New Jersey or the DC plane crash or the collision is we have all those. Dude, this is when I say on this channel we are kind of drowning in content. There is hundreds of pages of exhibits regarding the DC collision between the CRJ and the military helicopter.
About 25, yeah.
Yes, there's
one
hundreds.
One document is nearly 1,000 pages.
Yes, there's thousands of pages of documents that we could go over on this channel. I just can't find time.
Yeah, I mean, we would literally be at it for nearly probably half a year.
Yes,
if not longer.
It's like I said, when I say we have content for days, I could stream for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and still not get through all the content. However, I might make short form videos, 5 to 10 minutes on those, actually 8 to 10 minutes because my channel is monetized. And if I want to do ad revenue, it needs to be at least 8 minutes. So 8 to 12 minutes. There we go. Of videos going through some of those, the highlights of some of those shorter documents. That way, the ones that aren't appropriate for a complete live stream, I might just break down really quickly and do a whole like Pat 25 playlist. So
that's a freaking rabbit hole. That
yes, and we did good not going down. We skimmed some rabbit holes, but we did not
MVG
nosedive.
rabbit hole.
We did not need climbing gear or scuba gear
Parachute.
today to get out of, you know. And
but,
I will be doing, so before we get going, I will be doing a members only tomorrow. Then I will be we'll just do Reddit stories because who doesn't like to make fun of Reddit stories? And there's some doozies. There's some doozies. However, that being said, there is also a live stream on the other channel on Sunday at 10:30 a.m., 45 minutes to an hour, just going over Q&A over the last video and talking about what's upcoming on the channel for the next, week or two. Anyway, I don't have anybody who's live right now. However, there's the FNL pre-party over on Shizzy's Courtroom Chaos and Cop Fails, where he and Mo generally go into some like body cam footage and some just weird, like, what the hell kind of situations that they find themselves in all the time. Not they find themselves in, but they have the content of they find themselves going down some like crazy, how did this happen and how did we get here situations. So I have us redirected over there. It does not start till 8 p.m. You have 4 hours, but go give them a like and tell them I sent you. All right.
Also, Sunday will be my premiere gaming stream. So it'll be 3:00 EA in GMT. So that'll be 10 o'clock. That'll be probably whenever, but and depending what the premiere game will be played, it's going to be played. And all I ask is leave the negativity, the drama, the toxicity, and just come in, leave it outside, come in, take your shoes off, put your feet up, help yourself to the drinks in the bar, and enjoy the game.
And I'm going to see. Oh, now there's that second person who hit the down button. Thanks, guys.
I don't know, to be honest, Devil Fan.
I am trying to see if there is a way. I know there's a way that I can do a certain amount of gifted memberships per month. I just don't know how. So if I can figure out how to do that,
Sorry, do what?
give out gifted memberships.
Do you know what? I'm glad I never get one, because you know why? I'd rather they take that money and use it for something else instead of spending it on me. So I'm glad I never get one.
Yeah, Gail says I get 10 per month, but I don't know how to actually do that. That's where it's like the I know I can in your YouTube studio for gifting memberships. That's where I don't know, because I don't see any options for that. But that's where I'm like, but when I figure it out, I will.
What do you think? Should I get in a 747 and fly from London to New York?
Sure.
Full time, real life, proper, no jumping and no cheating, richly flying.
Thank you. Yeah, I know they're random, just like everyone else, but there's a way for me to gift memberships to people and or gift memberships, and like I get 10 a month, but I don't know how to actually do it. There's the like you know what I mean? Like turn on gifts on live streams. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of green in your stream now, which is nice.
There is, courtesy of quite a few people.
Yes.
Let's see.
Yeah. The generosity is nice. It's nice. Good. It's nice to see that people are so generous.
I'm trying to figure out how to do it because I'm horrible, but and Heidi says she'll DM it to me. So could you post a link to your stream that shows the helicopter crash? I can, actually. Let me go to my content, and it was quite a few months ago, so it might take me oh, wait, if it'll load.
And while she's doing that, I'm going to sit here and go,
there we go. I have 500 and some odd videos. I have 500 and some odd videos and 466 live streams. And
I don't know. I don't
I
know.
have to go back.
Yeah, the Devil fan. I don't know. It's I've put a post up. People can choose. I probably might do a flight sim. I'm not sure yet.
I will post my aviation playlist because that is just a whole lot easier. Because there is 26 videos in there.
That's a lot. We did a lot on that.
Yeah, there's 26 videos in there. So I will just post a link to that. Get shareable link. So aviation, if I can spell it right, playlist. There you go.
It's
Hopefully
just a
that
shame
works.
that so many people got hurt on that one. It's a shame that anyone got hurt or lost their lives on that one.
Yeah. That's the there's 10 videos in there, or 26 videos in there. So some are more boring than others. Like we streamed the NTSB hearings for that one for the DC plane crash. Extremely long. It's
We
like a
even-
trial but boring.
Yeah, we even fucking not argued with each other, but we
Yeah.
that was a fucking rabbit hole that
that was a rabbit hole. So I will see you guys later. We have to get going.
Absolutely. Thank you everyone for being here.
It's been
And
fun.
Squid, thank you very much for having me.
No problem. Thank
I
you for
appreciate
joining me and keeping me sane during these difficult conversations. Because some of these conversations, man, are we are always cognizant of the fact that people passed away. However, sometimes we have to have a little levity in the we can't always we can't always be super serious, otherwise we're gonna go nuts.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, the only way you can say it is basically say it as it is, and if people are offended for how we discuss this topic, then maybe you need to take a closer look at yourself, because at some point it needs to be discussed. Yes, people have lost their lives, but again, this incident speaks volumes in regards of maintenance, safety, passenger, people flying from A to B. If it happened on an aircraft like that, what about if it was what if it had been a passenger airplane with 270 plus people in it? So always take a step out of the book, try to come in unbiased and try to listen and learn, because every time we do stuff like this, even I learn. It's educating.
And for those of you who did not hear, if somewhere in the middle, I don't know exactly where in the time span, but there was a little Mr. Squid clip. Not his face, but you can hear his voice.
His sexy voice, Mr. Bond, yes. Mr. Bond Squid.
Anyway, I will see you guys tomorrow. I have to get going. Spawn, would you like to get us out of here?
Do I? Yes, absolutely. All right, everyone hold on. 3, 2, 1, and in German, ja, jüt.